On election day, they will be open at noon, and then we'll proceed with the regular election at 7 o'clock that evening, or 5 o'clock that evening.
Okay.
Can we talk?
Okay, we're on. Good.
My colleague,
Okay, we are now in session. We just had a very brief report from Ted Stoddard, Chairman of the Election Committee, that everything is in hand, moving along.
And I think time was a good turnout. That was a pretty frank exchange of views.
Steve, did you identify yourself?
I did not, though. I appreciate the reminder. Steve Turner from Raymond Street on the Election and Ethics Committee. So as it relates to the absentee ballot, we went back and forth. We've had emails. I'd rather do this personally because emails never get translated the right way. There was some discussion. We wanted to make it easier for people who are temporarily out of town, either traveling or on a sabbatical or away at college. And the latter is probably the most common situation for residents who want to vote. And as it stands right now, there's three ways to request a ballot. One, you come here physically and ask Chief for a form, and you fill out the form and you drop it off. Two is you call Frank Corral. Frank,
Hold it. What are you saying? This is the current procedure?
This is the current procedure.
No, it is not.
Well, I'm sorry. On the website, the way it's laid out, that is the current procedure.
Frank, this is what's on the
Beg to differ.
This is what's on the website.
Frank, the website, very, very clear. In our internal communications among ourselves, this matter has been discussed, and if necessary, I'll read the website.
It does, I promise you, I'm not making it up. It does say call Frank. It has your home telephone number. The third way is to email the village office and request a form that you then need to physically bring into the office. Now, if you're in Philadelphia, or Palo Alto, or wherever, it's difficult to do. So we had talked at a meeting last week to say, why don't we either, my idea was to set up an email for the elections committee, that way we could just handle it and wouldn't burden the office. Have an email request for the form, and the form can be emailed back to the voter, and directly to the voter, not their proxies. Because I'm sure this would never happen, but you could really take it to the extreme. You could imagine a parent or a sibling voting 4 times on behalf of other household members who either wouldn't vote at all or would vote.
Pass that down to John, please.
So what we wanted to do was allow people to request the application form by email. Send the application form back by email, have them complete it, and scan it and return it by email. It's all very 20th century, forget 21st century. And then the election committee would approve it, the same way we would approve any kind of request form. And then the ballot would either be hand-delivered if they're local, here, we're just going to do travel, like my wife would be out of town, for example, or would be mailed to the voter at the address on the request form in Palo Alto or Ann Arbor or Boston, wherever they are. Seems like a fairly easy fix, but that entails updating the website and taking Frank's number off there or whatever. Or we can still have Frank's number on. We just want to be able to add that feature and to have people be able to apply by email. So I'm not speaking on behalf of Frank or Ted, but I think that's a simple idea and a easy fix.
Good.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Frank. Frank Corral.
I believe you have the website in front of you.
Yeah.
And the information is there, like reading in black and white. It is true that until recently, the website did have my telephone number on it, but that was removed a good week ago. We now have, hold on, it's my turn.
Yesterday.
We now have the following provision. Regarding persons normally resident in Martin's Addition but who are away from home, for example, at college and want to vote, such individuals only no third parties will be required to email us either to Elections Committee Chairman Ted Stoddard with email provided, or to the village office acting on our behalf with the email address provided, supplying their permanent address in Martin's Additions and indicating the mailing address at which to receive the ballot and ancillary materials. Such email applications will be reviewed by the committee chairman, and if an application is deemed acceptable, a ballot will be sent by return postal mail to the address indicated. Now, I don't think that it requires much more clarification. And I'm sorry that we have this bifurcated reporting to the council. This matter has been hashed out among us in a not particularly collegial fashion, but it's been hashed out, and that's where we stand.
Okay, so, sorry, Steve Trotter again, Raymond Street. Frank, yesterday, I cut and pasted the page and emailed it to you, and it didn't have any of that. It's wonderful it does now. My changes have been incorporated, that's great, but it wasn't a week ago, it was yesterday. I didn't check the webpage today, so I appreciate Gene. Did you change the page?
The cut and paste of yours.
Who did? I don't know. Thank you, whoever
The
did.
cut and
Did Bill?
the cut and paste that I saw that you did, the very first item was, call me.
I've got,
Oh, well, we don't have to go through all that now. This is what we have at the
This
moment.
is what we
that's
That's
have.
good.
fantastic.
Good, thank you.
Please,
This is it.
I thank Gene or Bill, whoever changed it, thank you.
Good.
Like, that's not that difficult to do.
Okay.
Arthur, I have
Yeah,
a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Of Ron. I assume that there are certain legal requirements that this has to fulfill.
That's right. The election committee makes recommendations on the rules for elections, including absentee ballots, and the council must approve them. So I would recommend a motion to approve the recommendation for the
okay.
absentee ballot.
Good.
I'll make that motion to approve the recommendation.
As we have here. Second?
Second.
Is there any reason why this doesn't meet muster or anything that we can
Can I
say?
tell them?
Well, I've just seen it right
Yeah.
now. I can't tell you I've read the
Jane?
whole thing.
I went and I picked off all the what all the other towns do, and very, very similar to this procedure.
Okay, well, thank you.
Almost identical. As a matter of fact, the method we use of the different envelopes and with the form you have to fill out and the log, it's almost identical. It's almost surprising. The Garrett
That we all
Park, Chevy
came
Chase
to-
Village,
we all
Section
came to
3,
the
Section
same,
5. Yeah,
method.
everybody was using the same or very similar model.
Good.
So-
Thank you. Great, thank
So
you.
I got a
Okay.
motion to approve from you and a second by
Josh,
Lev.
vote. Any against? Any? 4? Aye.
4. Aye.
Good. 4-0. Great. Okay, thank you for the election committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
sorry,
Yeah,
what was this?
just to approve this.
To approve this?
Yeah,
To approve the new
Thank you.
process.
yeah. Okay, moving on. The budget. We have, this is the approval of the budget.
No, it's
oh,
discussion.
Just discussion of the budget.
Yet
Okay.
again, another discussion of the
Okay.
budget and the tax rate.
Okay.
There will be a public hearing
yeah.
at the next meeting.
Could you give me my jacket? What's on that chair? My glasses are there. Thank you. Okay.
There will be a public hearing at the next meeting if the council wishes. You can also receive comments tonight and
Right.
discuss what it would like to tonight.
It's what? Oh, right. Is there anyone on the council want to have any comments on the budget that we've looked at 3 or 4 times already?
It does seem to be, it's been forever.
Okay, good. Then let us, do we have to pass this now?
No.
No, we don't.
just
So this is
chatting.
just review.
Take comments.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we've discussed this at many times, we've made our changes, and I see there's no changes, so let's move on to the next item on the agenda.
I think the only,
Go ahead.
as a technicality, the only change is labeling the columns. This one's a little different, and it's better, makes more sense.
Right, yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
But I-
Which we had requested a few
Yeah,
weeks ago.
yeah.
Okay, good, yes, it does.
So I can
Okay.
make a note that the budget's all okay?
Yes.
Okay, so far, so good. No comments from the audience?
No.
Okay.
Okay, the next item,
Tax rates, it's still the same. We're the
budget discussion of, the revenues and the
revenue
tax rates.
Same
The same thing. We have, you have sent material in advance
Yeah.
on the tax rates, so we've looked at several times. We have made recommendations. We've approved the recommendations, and this is another chance to go back over that. Any questions, comments on the tax rates that we've discussed in the past? I see everyone shaking their heads, no further discussions on that.
So I can note all okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Ron, do you need us to verbally say that?
Well,
No.
Okay.
I'll make a note for the minutes.
Okay.
That the council reviewed it and found everything was in order and no comments were taken from
Right.
the ordinance.
Okay, and then we move on to introduction of the ordinance, 415.3.
Yes.
This is an ordinance to bring the code into conformity with the charter as to the numbers of people on the election committee, election and ethics committee. The charter specifies at least 3 people. The code had specified exactly 3, and this is to make this to at least 3 people. I think there was just 2 words or 3 words had to be changed.
Correct. The addition of 3 words. And
The addition of a minimum of are the words that had to be introduced, and so we are now introducing this for the first time.
And Arthur, the reason I selected the word minimum instead of least
Yes.
is because minimum is what's used in the charter, so
Oh,
we're being
okay.
consistent with the exact verbiage
With the same
in the charter.
wording. Now, I want to say, we have had some discussion among council members and others, why do we need more people? Well, we don't necessarily need more people, but we can have 3, as we've had in the past. If we have a large number of candidates who really look good and want to participate, I think it would be great to have them, and particularly to include, broaden the participation in community affairs, which the room here, residents seem to be in favor of earlier. But this would allow us to do so if the candidates were there. We don't have to, we are not required to, but could if we wished in the future, and that would be a council decision in the future. With that, we have somebody to introduce this as a motion.
Motion to approve the ordinance.
Okay.
Second.
And second? Any
Or just introduce it.
Introduced, right?
introducing it?
Introducing
And I might
yes, the
point out,
motion.
Yeah.
Arthur, if I can, because our charter requires us to wait 30 days after
Right.
introduction, and there's not 30 days between now and the May meeting, the public hearing on this ordinance would be at the June
In
meeting.
June, okay, right.
So this qualifies as an emergency?
No. We don't have an emergency now. No, so it's not an emergency, so we will, at June, we will do final approval. And then for the
Wait a minute.
This is just introduction tonight.
introduction.
I heard Josh make a motion to
Oh, yes.
introduce this.
Then I
Second.
second.
And, yeah,
Okay.
And I want to know if there was any discussion on this. Okay? No? Okay, then let's have a vote. All in favor? Aye. No? Okay, 4-0. Moving on. Tree Committee report. The Tree Committee, there was a member here before. We had one member, and Mike was here before. We had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, and we decided we are going to try to streamline our proposals and make them less onerous. There have been proposals to require tree plantings, and we are trying to make that less onerous on builders and on new construction. And so they are being rewritten by professional legal authority in these issues, Mike Zielinski. And we hope to have a final or a draft of the new proposals very shortly, and then we will have hopefully one final meeting. So that's the report on the Tree Committee.
Do you have any,
Yeah.
if I may ask
Yeah.
a question, do you have any target that you're shooting
Yeah.
for? And not just in
By
terms
the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
which is, another 2 months. What?
I'm unclear on something.
Mike.
We would,
I have just a query, which
Yeah.
is, Mike Zielinski, he's the developer, isn't he?
No,
No.
that's
Ed Novak.
Ed Novak. He's a developer.
yeah. Zelensky was a government lawyer.
Okay.
And worked on the building codes.
Yeah, he was chair of the building codes.
Building codes,
And he
yeah.
was on the
Okay.
first council when we were incorporated according to the chart
That's right,
behind us.
that's
So he's-
right.
He's been around for a bit.
So
Okay.
I suggested that he take the task of really putting this into a language
Okay.
that is a solid legal language. I was kind of putzing around. Can I use that word?
I had a question. Were you talking about simplifying procedure and also changing the burden?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to be
Yes.
clear on that.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I have to say that the developer on the committee has been the hardest-nosed guy, which has surprised me. Okay, that's the tree committee report. Building administrators report.
You've got the list of,
Yeah,
Tab 7.
got it.
you've got a list of
Yeah.
what's going on.
Anything in particular that we should know?
I'll try to highlight it for you. Not a
Yeah.
whole lot of new permits, which enough, sort of, 'cause they're irritating. But the things like fence permits and little things,
Right.
no tear downs. Maybe this last blast we have, or the last year, was the biggest tear down burst that we're going to have for a while. The occasional problems with construction, the problem areas continue.
Yeah.
I think they're noted on here. I've been making a point of forwarding to you guys
Right, as they occur.
emails
Yeah.
that
Which I
are going on,
appreciate.
and even I've been getting Wayne to send back to reply all, so you guys get to see a closer. The close working relationship between the building process, the citizen request process, and Wayne's involvement of it. So I think that's, unless you feel otherwise, I think that's a very good way for you guys to stay
been very
on
useful.
top of this
Yeah.
and have a better sense of what is going on in the construction
Gene?
field. Yes.
Can I ask you a question? I'd like more information on 101 Quincy Street.
It's a strange situation. The people have moved out. Nobody seems to be living there. But at some point, a couple months ago, somebody came in literally in the dark of night and put in widened the driveway. And it's not supposed to be as wide as it is. But there is apparently no one even available to deal with this. So when the time comes that somebody moves back into the house and we find who can be identified, we'll deal with the driveway apron.
This is the house that had the flood.
No, 101 Quincy Street. No, this is the house.
I'm around the corner.
Is there some way, though, that we can sort of tag this so that some buyer who buys it doesn't
Well,
understand?
I don't know what's happened there, and but the people
That's
still
what I was
the same,
thinking, putting
same,
it posted
the same
notice.
people are. Well, that's why I
Yeah.
keep repeating the same
Yeah.
thing month after month
Okay.
in here. We try to monitor it. And
I move that we put a sign up saying this is,
Out of conformity or something?
Yeah.
out of conformity, because it puts buyers and other property people who may be buying the property
Well,
on notice there's an issue.
Would you give me the opportunity to
Sure.
try to contact them again? And
We can take a look at tax records and see where the tax bill is going. Have you already done that?
No, but that would be good. So
Yeah.
maybe you could work with me. I've just sort of waited for them to reappear, but they're a very nice family, and I don't want to.
Well,
Are these are the buyers or the
No,
sellers?
there's no buyers or sellers. These are the people that own it. We don't know where they went, but we'll work together. Maybe help
Okay.
me out, Ron.
So
Okay?
what are
probably
we saying?
cutting out on their
So-
mortgage.
So
So, if you would give me the opportunity to investigate and report back to you what I found, is that okay?
So then the next meeting.
In case, like, maybe everybody in the family died or something.
Yeah.
We don't want to get on their case too bad. Okay?
No one will care if everyone's died.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Okay, so next meeting.
If a buyer has actual notice, I think we would be fine. You do have the option, albeit expensive, to get a court order for an injunction, I'm sorry, for an abatement order.
Right, but we can, without going to that level, we can post a warning
Yes,
sign.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to try to resolve it
Yeah.
and then post us
You can
a sign.
post a stop work order, even though the work's done, but the stop work order can
We
remain.
did that once, didn't we?
I've done it before, but never on this property.
No, but on others, we already
It's not the
completed
first
the
time.
work.
Yeah,
That's
well,
my only point.
unfortunately. But, so unless you guys have any specific questions, some of the projects are coming to fruition.
The one I have is 3414 Cummings Lane, the
Oh, yes,
sediment
thank you,
control.
thank you, thank you, thank
Being
you.
a major
Thank
issue.
you, okay, we just got that permanent
So we're
approval
going to
from,
be ahead of the curve on that?
we just got the permit
Okay.
from the county, and they've granted the building permit for the garage mahal,
Oh,
and the area of land that's going to be disturbed is over 15,000 square feet. It is all within our regulations, and it's all within the county regulations. So it meets our code. Alan's reviewed it, given it approval. It's gone to the county's permitted it, it come back to us. And I think one of the most difficult challenges here, I have not sent out the neighboring notice that we're required to provide, but the permit fee on it is $75. Because it's a garage.
Mm-hmm.
You
It's a
know,
swimming
but
pool, too.
no, the pool's not a part of this permit.
Okay,
This is
okay.
just the garage mahal that
Okay.
jokingly we referred to, but it's a bank of car, and then there's also a room above it. But according to Alan, he said it's as a detached accessory structure, it's $75. But I have not put out the neighborhood notice. I will. The land has already been stripped. I don't know what more they would do to it. So,
Dig it up.
but thank you, John, for reminding me that's a kind of a biggie.
Any other items on this list that anyone has questions on
Just,
that we should be aware of?
I just want to follow up on the notice. We're required to inform the adjacent property owners and ones across the street.
Abutting and adjacent, and I've always interpreted that to mean much like our parking code.
Yeah.
Nearby.
And nearby, that's really, we should have used our standard for notification that we use for building in our parking, but
Okay.
nearby. So that's where we are on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Next is John.
Let's
Yes.
move on. Financial matters.
As I said, village finances continue on course. I was pleased to see that our revenues are moving right along and
Right.
exceed the budget, so we're in good shape.
And
Let's get some action on those, then if everybody's happy, or there's no questions, don't forget to.
and we have questions on our surplus. People are afraid you're going to make off with it, I think.
No, they're not. They just,
I told you to take down the photos of your new house in South America.
Yeah, I try to figure out how to do that, and I haven't been clever
That's
enough to
hard.
come up with it. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the budget. I so move. Not the
The
budget, the
financial,
financial
okay.
report.
Second,
Aye.
I
Okay.
Wait,
You second?
I seconded Arthur's. What?
Arthur, okay, all in
Yeah.
favor. Did we get a vote?
Yeah, unanimous.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the next is the minutes, I'm sorry, of April 13th and March 19th and February 19th.
Well, let's start with the ones
Yeah.
that are the easiest, okay? The minutes of February 19th. You guys had all read, and I went back, when we went back to look at the notes and listen to the tape. You got it started, but you
February
didn't
19th.
finish, okay?
Yeah.
So the February 19th minutes, which would have been, you would have reviewed at the March meeting, I just need you to make a formal motion. You had seen them in advance,
Yeah.
and then I think Tiffany hadn't seen them, then we got started, and then, as I say, we didn't finish it, so somebody needs to make a
Okay,
motion.
I make the motions to approve.
Okay, second?
Second, I'll second. Aye.
I
Okay.
Wait a minute.
The next thing would be the March
March 19th.
19th minutes, which you circulated.
Right.
which I circulated in the packet, and then today,
I sent in an amendment.
and then we looked at the. Did everybody see the amendments? Amendments that were proposed?
I did.
You did. I sent one to Bill, probably too late, to Bill and John.
No, I saw already.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
I didn't see any.
Okay, well,
It's the last paragraph below Ted's name, correct?
yeah.
After I sent in, after discussion followed, a
Right.
paragraph.
We re-listened to the tape to see if what was written was consistent with what's on the tape, and it's actually not.
Where is this?
This is
Here, I have a.
After Ted's
just before
signature.
10. After it says discussion followed. I added a paragraph
Here.
of comments.
Pass that over to John.
Okay, here it is.
But the comments
Here.
are not consistent with
Yeah.
what's on the tape. Now,
I've
I
not
realize that
seen this.
this is not a transcription, but we do like to be as accurate as we possibly can. I would like to recommend that the first sentence where it says Alexander noted he resents the committee recommendations. Resents without speaking to the council. So take the point that it was made that you had asked that the council suggested the council should have been addressed. So I would suggest, based on what I listened to, that would be more consistent. And then as far as the last paragraph, the 1, 2, 3, the first 3 sentences, I was not able to replicate those points.
The ones in red?
Yeah,
Okay.
except starting with number 3, that was, from 3 on, it seemed to be pretty consistent.
Okay. Why don't you make an edit to that?
Okay, may I just
Yes.
edit it as I just described?
So we
Yeah.
should just note it as edited by Jane,
Yeah.
so there's no confusion.
As, you know, it's really just, now that we figured out how to use the YouTube so easily for the recordings,
Yeah.
it's so easy to go back.
Isn't that was really...
So
Yeah,
this
that
is
was
what we're
brilliant.
going
That
to
was brilliant.
insert the red.
Yeah, but Gene says that the first 3 lines were inconsistent with the recording.
So I'll...
Which one, that all council members had agreed to this?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
because all council
And
members
this
hadn't.
conversation was...
And that there hadn't been an agreement that the meeting was going to be, had already been set. So we'll just clarify that.
I would just recommend
Okay.
saying, edit it to be consistent with the tape.
I understand the word on it.
Okay.
Right, it's just a minor that I think we ought to
Right,
try
but
to
just in
be-
terms
Okay.
of
Yeah.
historic
Okay, so
record.
let me get
Okay.
a approval on that. Then,
Okay, I'll move to accept the amended minutes.
This is not consistent with my memory, but we have the tape and I can go read through the messenger tomorrow. Why don't we just
Yeah.
pass over this, because I'm just curious now.
Okay,
Because this is sort of accurate as I remember it, but God forbid.
right. I'm relying on memory.
Yeah,
Yes, that's why we have tapes now, right?
yeah, so let's just roll
Wanna
this
hold-
over.
Yes,
Want to hold off
Yes.
for a moment? Okay,
That's a good idea.
okay. Okay,
Yeah, hang on to this so we can-
okay.
Okay,
Anything else?
we have another, yes.
And if we're holding over on those minutes,
Yeah.
you might want to hold over on the April 13 work session minutes as well, because I don't believe everybody's chimed in, but here's the most recent draft.
We're going to give you a job here, you know?
Stenographer.
Copier, using the computer.
Okay, oh, this is your latest, okay,
So that incorporates Bill's edits and Arthur's edits
Right.
from today.
good.
I don't know if John and Josh had an opportunity to look at this yet.
I don't remember getting to this.
So, I second. This is straightforward and simple.
Yeah,
All right, you guys are comfortable with it, I'm fine.
yeah,
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay.
second,
Arthur seconded it.
aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Good.
If I'm going to remember all this.
Okay.
Holdover, okay, managers.
Managers report. And anyone in the audience who's interested in contracts, listen up.
Everyone,
Contracts.
We're talking about contracts. I don't care, you can skip it.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
Jake.
I think that the beginning of the report is pretty self-evident. Let me see if I've got anything really significant to point out that's there, or any questions that you might have. I was very pleased with Rolling Acres. What a pleasure they were to deal with again. I know I've said this before, but it is a pleasure to deal with them as a company. And I know we will go out
To do what? On what
to
job?
snowplow.
Oh, it's still snowplowing, yeah.
We will go out to bid this, of course, next year, because we don't find ourselves in the situation where we found ourselves in this year. But
that was an emergency.
that
Yeah.
was indeed an
Yeah.
emergency. And we also, didn't know where we were going to end up in terms of snow. That's the challenge with the snow contract, is you don't know where you're going to end
The
up.
thing was, the
But-
emergency occurred as the snow was coming.
That's right, as it was coming our
That's
way.
the definition.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
emergency. right.
exactly. But I think one of the biggest surprises is what our county salt bill has been. We got another salt bill for, actually they added it wrong. Somebody didn't know how to do the additions, and I corrected it. So it's not actually $2,000. It's more like about $1,600. But it's going to mean about a total of almost $3,200 in salt and sand costs. And it's largely
That's-
because, and it's really out of our control. It's
That's what I've
set
been
by the
hearing.
county.
Yeah, well, and
And
it's
it's-
all over the country.
Yeah,
It was up.
yeah, and because of the kind of storm we
Yeah.
had, they required more salt and sand. So I've already got that working. I'm meeting with Tucker, who's one of the guys from the plowing company. On Monday, he's bringing all his receipts, because this is what's nice with doing business with them. They keep all their receipts. I get all the receipts from the county, and then we're going to compare notes to absolutely make sure everything's on the up and up. And also, we share with Section 5. And so we have an agreement that they pay 40%, and she doesn't have any of the tickets, but I'm doing this work for her too. So, but it is a lot of money. And so now in terms of moving forward on our budgeting, I almost wonder, I don't know if we want a separate line, because we don't want to control at that level.
Salt?
But we don't want a separate budgeting line, but I think it needs to be considered as a part of the expenses, that we need to think that if we're going to be running as much as $3,000 or $4,000 worth of salt expenses, somehow we need to make note of that in the budget. But we'll do that when we get to that point.
Does the county salt every street?
No, we go buy the salt. We go to the depot and get
Okay.
the salt.
So this is salt that our
We
contractors
use,
produce.
absolutely. That's
Okay.
what we're using,
Yeah.
our salt and
Okay.
sand, and also filling our buckets. Tree services, Paul Wolf has done the annual spring assessment and review of the trees, and he's putting together a list of what he thinks needs to be done. He's pleased with what he sees. Winter cleanup is just pretty much finished. There's a list of what happens next. We move to lifting trees and putting water bags as the weather gets hot. He was asked to do a special assessment of a tree on Bradley Lane that he's doing. They haven't gotten the report back from him yet.
Has he done it?
Yes.
Okay,
but
I just got an email today that I'll forward to you, that you
Okay.
can give to him. I don't understand it, but he
I've been
might.
there. I've been there before.
Okay.
So we have our eyes on that. We heard from the state highway at Brookville Road. They have I sent it to you guys.
Yeah.
A solution such as it is, I don't consider that a solution to this intersection of Taylor and Brookville. And so what I'm trying to set up now with the neighboring manager, Andy Harney, is a meeting with State Highway here. And I want to get my police officers here, and I'm considering whether or not we want to ask Joe Kutro to come. I don't know if we need to, because he had already provided
He's had a survey
He's
of that
already
corner.
done that, but I do want to have a meeting with our officers here to
I'd
talk
like to
them.
be there too.
Okay. I think frankly, the state did a pretty slipshod job. What they look at is, as you saw from the information I sent you, they look at accident rates. And that's really not the issue here. So we've had one accident in the last, 10 years. It's pedestrian safety that's, our officers tell us. The people that run that stop sign, it's unbelievable. It's just not observed. So
I noticed that too.
the state says, well, so you haven't had any accidents, so we really shouldn't do anything. We'll move the stop sign. And they also told us the stop sign was fully operational. I'd love to see what a non-operational stop sign is,
Well, I
Flat
think,
down on the ground.
I think they are moving it the way Joe had suggested.
But there was other things that
Right,
were,
he had other
there
things
was
to
lots
work
of
the
other-
intersection, but
I thought it was
we
kind of
have no.
slapdash and not care. And the way they even came to us and approached us.
Incidentally, there is a stop sign that's been whacked on our street,
I know.
Shepherd Street.
And it's on our list to be repaired. And that's another one of our contracts. Okay, we're getting to it.
Joe,
Oh, it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Joe
It isn't
Kutro.
something we can just manhandle into place?
Well, no, it needs to be done right.
Okay.
It needs to be done right. I mean, if you want to go manhandle it into place,
No,
fine. But
not me.
It's been brought to the attention of Joe Kutro, and it's something that's on the list to be fixed. Okay.
Got it.
The street light. Oh, yeah, you signed the check tonight. The street light's supposed to arrive. The next sample street light is supposed to arrive mid-May. We've got a check signed tonight that's going to be sent to Pepco. I've already signed that permit, and that will mean that they will put that light up for us. We'll have something else to take a look at.
Right.
Early June. Community events, Constant Contact. We've gotten it is the coolest thing. We've gotten so many compliments on that Constant Contact
Good,
notice.
good.
And it is so cool what it tells you. It tells you how many emails went out, who opened them, and where else they went on the website once they opened it. It's fantastic. Anyway,
They were wearing their pajamas when they were looking.
but it really has been very well received by residents, and I am thrilled with it.
Good.
And correspondingly, the listserv has gone dead.
Right, yeah.
So I'm just really pleased with what's happened there. And also, I went to a wonderful conference in Gaithersburg for a day and a half last week for the Maryland County City Managers Association that's a part of ICMA with my fellow managers from big cities and little. And I got some great information, great lectures about how to communicate with the community better, I mean, all these really key areas. One of the best conferences I've been, and I have insisted I was not going to do Facebook or Twitter. I just wasn't going to do it. And the guy that was lecturing, who was head of the Communications Center for Prince William County, was spectacular. And he said, "You just have to do it." So our contract with Facebook, with the Calvert Design that does our website, he will do it for us. He'll put a button on it that will just be easy. But what it will do is it's somewhat like Constant Contact. We don't actually have to have a Facebook page with pictures and all this kind of stuff. It will pick up the content that we want picked up and simply post it to Facebook and post it to Twitter. So in terms of another method just to push out notices, and that's what I learned from this guy, was that that's the way you want to use it in government. You don't want pictures of your friend. The simplest thing, the best, is to just push it out as a notice, especially on mobile devices. That's the trend now. So it's when somebody's scrolling through Facebook, looking at their friends, all of a sudden your message pops up. So that's our next step. We're waiting to hear back. And then also to improve, there's a button on the website where you can go to sign up to become a part of this one-way communication, the Constant Contact. I don't like the way it looks, so I've asked them to give us something a little bit sexier looking.
That's Calvert again.
Yeah. But and he subscribed to our Constant Contact to push it out, which is good. Went to the regional workshop for Legit and found out about our insurance next year. It is likely going to go up a little bit, particularly because of the change in the tort claims lifting of the
awards,
the amount, the cap.
Raising
Changing
of the cap on liability, which has, frankly, been the same since 1987
or something.
I think. So it's probably time, even though we don't like it as municipalities, because it will raise our insurance premium.
But it shouldn't be too much. The meeting recordings have been posted. Did my usual emergency operations center drill that I have to do every month. Now the things I wanted to add, I have some additions to my to my report that came through today. Here, for everybody, just pass these down
Okay.
one.
Gene, I don't like seeing all these potholes amassed in one spot. It's scary.
Well, there are a lot of potholes.
Yeah.
We-
When you see them like this,
Yeah. Well, that is compliments of Wayne. Wayne went out, and it's wonderful because and this is the kind of stuff he does, and he has done for me in a number of ways. And I hate to be sending you all this information, but I really think that one of the ways we can improve our communication is for me to send these things that we're doing and that Wayne's out collecting for us, so that we know when a contractor comes in, we know exactly what they're bidding on, and it's exactly what we want. So he did that.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, one
Yes.
question. He also has photographic records to
Yes.
accompany
yes,
this page.
next
Which is
page.
so
next
wonderful.
page?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
It's there.
That's what scares
Oh,
me.
right. I
Yeah,
saw that,
yeah. And so
Oh, that's what you-
the good thing about this is then I can take that and get people to give us estimates and bids on it and stuff.
The only
Go ahead.
suggestion
I'm
I'd
sorry.
make is have them put a tape measure or a ruler in each photograph, so you can read the size off of that.
Okay, I'll give
That's
that.
standard in my business,
Okay.
in archaeology.
Okay.
You could just carry one along.
Right,
and
exactly,
place
just
it down.
6 inches would
Right.
do.
Okay. Anyway, so here's what we did with this. I sent this to our, much like just sort of ordinary street repairs, which is what this pretty much is, except this winter is a little bit rougher. I sent this to Chamberlain Contractors, who is our normal sort of everyday, keep us together in one piece contractor. And he has said that he firmly believes that he can do all these repairs and bring it in well under $10,000, and that in fact we can get it done next week.
Now,
And I
Good.
would really urge you to. I know their quality is excellent.
Right.
They've done work in the community before. They're very, very good on the narrow streets. They do all the signage and the traffic control themselves, which is a big advantage. And one of the things I like about using the same company for this kind of stuff is that you know pretty consistently that most of your street repairs have been performed by the same person, same company. So, for example, a couple of years ago, we did street sealing of cracks and stuff. It was Chamberlain. Now, again, those contracts, which we let, came in under $10,000. So we went to our normal contractor, which is Chamberlain. But I think that there's an advantage in something like this that we expect to come in under 10,000 to continue to use the same provider that we trust and is
Yeah,
an excellent
let's-
way, and it's his fault if
Right.
the patch fails. So I would like very much for you guys to approve moving forward.
I have a question first, sorry.
Go ahead.
Does he simply seal, or does he have to dig
Oh no,
out
he
some
will
of
dig.
them?
He will dig it out.
Okay, so that's his
yes.
normal, is
yeah,
digging it
yeah,
out,
yeah,
okay.
no, definitely. No, there's not a whole lot. There's a number of them. It's more than sealing.
Yeah.
It's actually digging and replacing it. In some
Well, that
places,
was why I was
replacing the
concerned
concrete
that it
base.
would only be
yeah.
a temporary fix.
Yeah, no.
Isn't that like
This-
DC? It's awful.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's right.
Well, but I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that headache. So.
Okay, let us approve of Gene's going forward with Chamberlain to do the potholes.
And let's
So
do it
I
under the.
second.
Let's do it. Who's doing the? Arthur.
Arthur,
Then let's add this
John.
under the presumption.
That's under 10,000, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that his evaluation that he gave me over the phone, that as all other contracts that we let, such as this, it's under $10,000. We can go with it.
He's seen the pictures.
Oh yeah. And looked at the list, and he knows
Right.
Mart's Editions
Right,
very well.
right.
And as a matter of fact, he's also developing a bid for me for street mill and overlay for the
Oh.
north end. So I don't know we're going to be ready for that, but at least he's very familiar with the town and he knows what he's looking at. And I'll let you know.
Okay, and garbage is coming up again. Oh, we're not done with that.
I need a
Okay.
motion. I got a motion from Arthur. I got a second
Second
from
from me.
Bill.
John, I'm sorry,
John.
John seconded. All in
And a
favor?
vote.
Aye.
Aye.
What's this? Street repairs.
And
okay.
all I was going to say, the garbage is up again. It seems like we just did it.
3
Like 3 years.
Yeah, but it's
Time
well,
flies.
It will come.
Time flies when you're dealing with garbage.
Come July 1, it
Yeah.
will be the new contractor, did you look at the contract? No, I just wonder if you had pulled it up at your file. I mean, I've got it all, but, so we'll go out to bid.
Okay.
There's at least 3 contractors that I know we'll go to, obviously our own guy. So, but if you want to think about whether, one of the things to think about, well, I guess we should have thought about it for the budget, is whether you want to add any more services. But what I found with waste management, why I like them so much, is when we get a really heavy fall like we did, where we had a lot of leaves, I could call them up and say, hey, can you give me a second?
extra,
Give me
yeah.
a second pickup this week for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And the guys report to me every time they're finished. They come up here and they let me know, Arthur, you've seen them up
Yeah.
here, you've seen them up
Yeah.
here. They keep me apprised of how much yard waste they're pulling up. So that we went to twice a week for a couple of weeks, just to get it off the streets, because it looks unsightly. And Waste Management charged us pennies for that. So, and it was still within the budget. So, and we of course had bid it out at that point. But I don't know why I'm telling you that. But they do a good job. But we've got there's several people, at least 3 contractors that we will go to for bid.
Approximately how much is this contract worth?
About 90,000. So that's the garbage contract. So
That's the biggest one.
yeah,
There is.
It's until the roads.
well,
Oh,
but that's a whole different.
Yeah.
That's a
This
one
is
side. This is an
Right,
ongoing.
exactly.
That's our major function, is making sure that
Garbage gets
Garbage
picked up. That's my number
sounds
one
like
concern.
Chicago Mayor
Absolutely.
No, we have too many government employees.
Now the sidewalk tripping hazard, you recall,
Right,
I had
right.
that. I reached out with Ron's help to 5 other companies that he's,
Yeah.
nice enough to help. I
We
did some
don't do
research.
that.
I went to them. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of we don't do that yet, but I'm not satisfied that we have tapped out all the resources that are out there. So I'm going to need another month at least to continue to
Okay.
do this work and pursue what else might be out there. Streetlights I told you about.
Right. And now the water lines, Pinehurst is out.
Pinehurst is out. I talked the guy that Clayton Stewart. I don't know if you guys were ever involved with some of my
He's moved,
discussions.
yeah.
He has been moved on, but I reached back to their property acquisition person, and he was not Paul Gray, a great guy. He let me know that they pulled Pinehurst Circle because the people were so uncooperative.
And so what does
And
that
they
mean
wanna
for
get-
us?
so they're going to
can
do
go-
our water lines. I said, but you're not going to leave us out, are you? And I said, because I want to get those streets done so I can repave the whole
Right.
town.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he said, well, no, that they were going to. He was going to make sure that contract came through with Pinehurst being dropped out and with us being in. And I tried to reach him today. I was hoping he'd get back to me. He did not yet, but we should know pretty soon when they think, because they said spring of 15. And here we are.
Yeah.
So
halfway through it.
yeah. So that's one of the things I really pushed for with him, though, is I said I really wish you guys would do the sewers. We got the street open. Please ask WSSC if they've got the funding to replace the sewers, because we've had some sewer problems on Raymond Street, and we've had them on Bradley Lane, Quincy Street, in a couple of different spots. Would say to me, the whole system is rotten.
It is.
And to repave those streets, at a $200,000 a
And then dig
street,
them up.
and then dig it up, man, I don't want to do that. So that's what I have to
Good.
say.
Good.
Okay, so
Okay, thank you.
any other wisdom from you guys in terms of what you...
So WSSC would come in and evaluate the sewer
Well,
lines?
they're looking at their old records, and he's pushing to see what the budget is.
Oh, they
and
do have old records?
Well, they are for sewers, yeah.
Okay,
The other ones that for the stormwater they threw away.
okay, okay.
Okay.
So that's my
I think
report, and
that's-
I'm sticking
that's it.
to it.
Residents' concerns?
Yes, sir.
Okay, one.
I wouldn't want to disappoint you.
Okay.
Here we have that
I'm
one.
Frank Correll of Turner Lane, and I'm speaking as a resident, not as a member of the Elections and Ethics Committee, although it does impinge to some extent on our work, and that is that a few years ago, in the connection with the resignation of, I believe it was Chris Mueller, I think that was his name, it was brought to the attention of the council that the provisions in I'm not sure if it was the ordinance or if it was the charter, really left a great deal to be desired, because in my opinion, it was inside skin side. They were making it very easy to appoint people for the longer term and requiring elections for the shorter term, which struck me as being pretty ridiculous. But I can't cite the references for you now. But the reason I'm mentioning this is that after this tsunami in the teapot about whether we should have 3 members or more members on the elections committee, I really feel that a far more careful investigation has to be made of what our charter provides for, what our ordinances provide for, what ought to be changed, and that these things be written in such a way that they reflect each other, that they are consistent. Now, I go back to my distinguished government career. My first job as a GS7 was as a procedures analyst, and I have some sort of an idea of what consistency means in that regard. And I would say that worrying about what the size of our committee is maybe priority number 25, whereas there's some very, very significant irrelevancies and booby traps in the documents we have now that's supposed to run our charter.
Right, it's very open.
Secondly,
Yeah, sorry.
Secondly, all this discussion about contracts and about both at the candidates forum and this at the council meeting here. I get concerned about when we deal with a number like $10,000. Contracts so very often are when actually employed. And there's got to be a more sensible way of finding this out. Moreover, all this concern about transparency and knowing about what contract, what kind of contract provisions there are, and what the contractors are supposed to do. I think that that is something that the council could very much to its profit investigate in depth, not by saying, well, we better find something out about it, but actually appointing a committee that looks into these things with an agenda, basically with terms of reference, with an agenda, and come up with something. Because quite honestly, as a little bit higher up in the pecking order in the government, we have to deal with that sort of thing all the time. And we realized that it was nice to have a de minimis provision, and it's very desirable. But once you get above that de minimis provision, there are some very compelling reasons, particularly in this little village, on why you shouldn't be wringing your hands and spending months worrying about competitive procedures and competitive bidding, throwing the bids out and doing all that sort of stuff. And again, this isn't something that necessarily requires very much modification of the charter. It's a question of policy. It's a question of understanding what this issue is. That's what I have contributed this evening.
Go ahead.
What about Frank preparing a paper?
Frank isn't going to do that.
We'll give you a promotion to GS15.
Frank isn't on the council. I'd be glad to help where I can. But please don't count on me to do this stuff. I think my current experience on the Elections and Ethics Committee permits me to have an honorable retirement.
But
you've earned it.
But you're willing to advise. You're willing to advise.
Want to revise?
Advise.
I'm available for anybody who's ready to take the lead and would like to get into the details.
Can I make a point? You know, we keep bringing this issue up, and if you actually go back and reread the March issue, that March, I think it's the March minutes, you agreed that we were going to do a work session.
Yes.
And much
Go
like
through
you
that.
will recall last July
We
when you
did
guys
that.
took office, I sat down with all of you and we went over everybody who works for us, every contract, how much it was. So a lot of this, there's nothing of this that's a surprise, okay? However, let's go back to the March meeting. We agreed that we would do a work session, and I will sit down with you, and we will go away. We have a list of all the, and there's some that we're missing and some that are truly irrelevant on that list, but we will go through everything. And make sure, I will make sure that you are informed. I will call upon you to come help me if I need help. But before we go out to setting up any kind of a committee or anything, I would urge you to let me refresh your memory, let me refresh my own memory about what's there and what it looks like, and then from that point on, convene whatever we want to convene. But let's do our work session first.
Well, that's what was so helpful last year.
Yeah.
Going
Well, I
through all
intended to
that.
do it with a new council anyway,
Yeah.
this July. We'll
That's
go
a
back
good
through the
idea.
same thing we did before, but
Right.
I hope maybe in late June, we might, and by then we'll know who the new council is going to be, we would actually have a work session and go over
That would
these
be very
contracts.
useful.
Okay, because there's a terrible lot of misconception about
Yeah.
what could possibly be going on.
Right.
You know, the minutes are there, the information has been let. So let me plan this work session.
Okay, good.
And does that
Good.
have room for discussion about where contracts could be eliminated or simplified? Or
Well,
would
I
that
think
be
that
under
we could
the
start.
scope of that?
Let's start with what's
What's there?
there. What is it? What are we actually doing? And then from there, we can say, are there ways to do it better, to do it, make it simpler from the management standpoint, from the whatever.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Let's
we'll
start
just
with. Let's get the
That'll be the
facts.
first phase.
Let's get the facts
Right.
first. Okay.
Right.
What are we actually? What are we really doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
You like that idea? So
Yes.
I can put
Yeah.
a star next
Yeah,
next
put
to
next to the
yes.
star.
We
Okay.
still
So
support the
you're
work
gonna-
session.
So you're going to
concept.
schedule a work session?
Yes, but it's not going to be until the end of this
Right.
year.
After
Right.
the new council?
Right.
Well, it's really more that
To
now I
educate.
got to throw an election, and now we
Right.
got to get tax rates to the county and make sure the county, we got our tax rates right, and we got to adopt the budget, and
after-
we got to get the potholes fixed, and we got
It would
to. So,
make
Get the
no
garbage
sense to do
picked
it
up.
before we have a new council.
Well,
yeah,
after the
yeah.
new council,
Yeah,
right.
but
You want more
as
time
I
than that?
begin, as I begin to do some work, I can share with you the pieces of wisdom that I
Good.
find.
Okay, good. We are now adjourned.
Let's have a motion to adjourn. Let's do this right this time.
We
right,
need a
Ron?
motion to
Do we
adjourn?
need a motion to Yes.
Oh, we need a motion to
I
adjourn?
move we adjourn.
Second.
Aye, we are now
Hey,
adjourned.
guys, we're half an hour early.